Hi, welcome to Nate Infinite. My name's Nate, and I kind of wanted to talk about a certain YouTuber named Star Wars Theory. A YouTuber that, if I'm being honest, I've never really been too familiar with, but he's a guy that's pretty active on Twitter, and every once in a while his opinions on Star Wars gets floated around a lot. There's a meme that went around a little bit a while back on the first season of Andor. I'm sure you've seen it, the whole bricks and screws thing.
You're not supposed to have screws in Star Wars. You're not supposed to have like brick walls that we would see in everyday life. Those things don't exist.
Very funny. And now he has another certain opinion on Andor season two, which the first three episodes just dropped recently. I'm currently rewatching the first season of Andor. I really liked the first season of Andor. I thought it was great Star Wars television. My relationship with Star Wars has usually been pretty back and forth. I've kind of fell off recently, but Andor and like Star Wars Visions have like kind of brought me back a little bit. And yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about his weird opinions on the recent Star Wars season, or in particular Andor season two. So, Andor season two, uh, in the latest episode, the third episode of season two, had a essay scene, and he felt that it was very unnecessary and gratuitous and didn't belong in Star Wars. And which I thought was interesting because this is the same franchise that has so much dark themes in it a lot of the times, like murder, genocide, blowing up planets, people's limbs being chopped off. And his argument,
Um, she got away finally, great. But look, I didn't feel like that really belonged in Star Wars. It was just off putting. I feel like what George did was that he had implied scenes.
you like, I understand it made him feel uncomfortable, and that's within his rights. If it made him feel uncomfortable. But him saying it doesn't belong in Star Wars and his opinions on that is where I thought was kind of strange, and how he decided to defend himself. Like, he was saying stuff on Twitter like the Empire wouldn't tolerate this type of thing, or Vader and Palpatine wouldn't tolerate these things in the Empire, which I thought was just an interesting stance to take. For one, first off, Palpatine and Vader have nothing to do with this. Like, if you watch this, like, first off, Andor, Palpatine and Darth Vader are in the show, so that relevance is there is no relevance to that. Like, he really wants to put give this moral high ground to the Empire. Like, oh, Vader wouldn't allow this, Palpatine wouldn't allow this, and it's like, who cares? They're not in the show. This has nothing to do with anything. Like, you're really drawing the line on this evil empire that tortures people, genocides, kills people. It's like, what? Like, what does this have to do with anything? And the way he defends himself is just strange. Like, again, he really wants to hammer home that, like, Anakin, Darth Vader, Palpatine, they wouldn't allow this. It's irrelevant to the context of the show.
In my tweet was like, I don't think that if Vader saw some shit like that happening, I don't think he would leave it unchecked.
I
I
don't know
don't
what
think
that
he
has
would
to do with
walk
it though.
by.
Like
You,
Vader's opinions on this wouldn't be relevant, right?
he's still Anakin at the end of the day, and Anakin wouldn't stand for that shit.
No, but it's just not relevant. Like, why would Vader's opinion matter here?
You can make the argument, like, does it belong in Star Wars? Which, funny enough, Mauler and Critical Drinker had good points about this on their little open bar or whatever. And I hate agreeing with Mauler or Critical Drinker because I don't like their content either. But they actually have some good points where, like, at this point, the Star Wars brand has been, like, this whole, like, is this Star Wars or not, has been an argument, like, forever, since, like, the prequels came out. The prequels came out, people were saying that didn't feel like Star Wars. Same thing with the sequels. Like, that didn't feel like Star Wars. So, like, there's so much Star Wars content. Like, how do you really pick and choose what is or isn't Star Wars? Like, is it only the George Lucas stuff? Or because there's so many books, comic books, video games, cartoons that so many people love, where do you really draw the line? And it's like, you can make the argument, like, this Star Wars should be only, like, for everyone. Should it be, like, kid friendly? Is it made for everyone? Should it be this dark? And there's been a lot of, like, I watched that little open mic, and there's was weird opinions. Like, I forget his name, Chris Gore said like, oh, they should have just used another word.
Just soften it for the audience.
They could have made up some Star Wars word. You know how like I do miss like coming up with clever words that aren't from our universe for a thing. Maybe
Force.
there's a different word for rape.
What the fuck?
Or Star Wars Theory said it should have been implied. And at that point, I feel like you're sugarcoating it. Like, Star Wars already doesn't curse, and they use made up words as it is. I think when you're dealing with dark subjects like this, you have to go full throttle with it, or don't show it at all.
The fact that it is difficult to watch, is offensive, is bothersome. Personally, I felt like, Jesus Christ, that's terrible, is a different story. But it happens. And I think the fact that they showed it and used the word, there is no minimizing rape. There's no, let's come up with a space word for it. Because if you're somebody that has any experience with it in real life, you want to call it anything else, bullshit. Call it what it is. If you call it a space word, honestly, 100% you're going to piss more people off than if you just use the word.
And like, again, like, there's been conversations about this with like sex scenes in movies, like, and TV shows. Like, people feel like sex should just be implied. We don't really need to see it. It's gratuitous. But my standpoint on this, in a visual media like movies, like TV shows, what you put on the screen, what you put in the frame does matter. And sometimes just letting things be implied isn't enough. So, and if you feel uncomfortable, that was probably the point. That was probably the filmmaker's point. Like, I understand, like, it's a very triggering thing. Like, no one wants to see essay, and it can be gratuitous. But sometimes it has a point. And as of right now, we don't know where that point's going to go, because there's only been 3 episodes released as of me making this video. So maybe that scene will give more to Bix's character. But to say it's unnecessary, I think is very strange, when you can say that about a lot of scenes in Star Wars. Again, this is the same franchise that has torture, people getting their limbs cut off, heads flying off. Like, a man gets burnt alive in Star Wars after having his limbs cut off. And like, and Mahler again has a point where it's, or I think it was Kruger Drinker that said, like, even if it's implied, it's still in the text. And again, I feel like sometimes, like I said, like, subtlety is not good enough. Sometimes I feel like sometimes it's fine to just show the thing if it fits the story. Like, I recently watched Sinners, great movie, by the way, you should go see it. That movie has a lot of sex in it, and you can make the argument, is it necessary? But I think it does fit the story, and it's not too long. Like, if you watch the scene in Andor, it doesn't even last very long. They don't show the grape scene. First of all, and it's not gratuitous. Like, like, the comparison that, like, Robot Head, who's an idiot in the open mic, I don't know, I always forget Robot Head even exists. He's an idiot that has really stupid opinions. I've watched his videos. He has really stupid opinions on both Star Wars and other pieces of media like Spider-Man. But he likes to compare, like, oh, like, this doesn't have to be like Game of Thrones, which is like the big, like, buzzword people like to use, like, oh, this is like Game of Thrones, blah blah blah. But it's like, the scene wasn't even on Game of Thrones level. Like, I'm not advocating for Star Wars to even be close to Game of Thrones, but Star Wars has touched on mature topics before, and Andor is a more mature show. And that's another thing. People hear the words mature and dark and immediately equate it to like Game of Thrones level. Something doesn't have to be on blood. Like we know Star Wars doesn't need to have blood on the level of Game of Thrones to be mature. Like, people need to understand that, like, tone is a factor in whether or not something is mature, and Andor is a more mature show. So I think it's allowed to tackle more mature subjects like SA. And I think in the context of that episode, again, I haven't watched the episode, I just seen the clip, but in the context of the clip, it was handled well. Like, it wasn't gratuitous. They didn't show anything. So yeah, I think Star Wars' theory of defending himself, like, he's really like putting a stake on his claim. Like again, if he felt uncomfortable, that's fine. But whether or not it belongs to Star Wars, I don't think he gets the final word on it. Like, he likes to claim he's an expert on all things Star Wars, and he's a super fan. Like, he knows everything, and it's very high and mighty of him. Like,
to me, it's wild, and I feel like we're having it literally feels like we're having the people that used to make fun of us for liking Star Wars now in charge of telling us what Star Wars really is. It's like when can you ever just enjoy Star Wars without some dickhead telling you how to feel about it? And now they want to claim it for themselves and be like, no, this is Star Wars. It's like, it's not, dude. Fuck off. Like, what are you talking about? You're literally telling the professors, essentially, what to teach.
You serious?
Like, that's the vibe I've gotten from a lot of Star Wars Theory's videos, where he's just like this. He puts himself on his pedestal as this Star Wars expert, like he knows more than the people who work on the damn shows and movies. Very arrogant, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, this isn't your property. Like, you don't really get to decide on what is and isn't Star Wars. You can critique it all you want and whether or not the scene worked and the writing. But I think whether it is or isn't Star Wars, that's not up to you, at the end of the day. And if you only want to enjoy George Lucas's work, then I don't know, maybe stop watching these shows and movies that come out. I don't know what to tell you. If you only want to consume that work that George Lucas made, go ahead and do that. I think Star Wars Episode 3 has been recently re-released in theaters. Go see that in theaters again. But otherwise, actually critique the writing for what it is. Critiques the shows for what they are and not what you want them to be. But yeah, that's all I have to really say about that. I just thought that was an interesting topic I saw going around on Twitter. Yeah, I might do more unscripted videos like this in the future. Originally, I made this channel to be like a gaming channel, but yeah, that's hard to keep up with. I'm not an avid gamer like I used to, so it's kind of hard for me to keep up with editing gameplay videos as well as doing stuff for my main channel and all the other stuff I got going on outside of YouTube. So might be more fun to do less scripted videos like this. And if you enjoyed this, let me know. I'll do more unscripted videos like this. But yeah, I would like to hear what you guys think about this whole Star Wars theory. How do you feel about Star Wars theory and his comments on the recent episode of Andor? Are you enjoying Andor? Has this brought you back to Star Wars? Me, not really. I mean, if I'm being honest, I would like to see a Star Wars movie because I'm as good as like shows like Andor and Star Wars Visions are. I kind of would, even though I didn't like the last Star Wars movie, I'm kind of tired of seeing Star Wars on the small screen. Like, I always feel like Star Wars is meant for the big screen, in my opinion. Like, so I mean, there are Star Wars movies that are coming out, so I'm interested to see how those would do. But other than that, that's all I have to say. Check out my main channel, of course, Infinite Repeat. I'll put a link down below and somewhere on the screen. Consider subscribing to this channel for more videos like this. And once again, this is Nate Infinite. I'm Nate. Stay up.